Joining me now, Wisconsin Congressman Mike Gallagher, former Marine Counter-Intel officer and a member of the Armed Services Committee. Welcome, Congressman. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to get right to it. Do you agree with that Gold Star mom that this could have been avoided because Joe Biden chose to have this, artificial deadline because of 9/11?
Well, of course, I think even for the proponents of withdrawal, and I myself wanted us to keep a small counterterrorism force and keep Bagram as a way of projecting power, particularly against China over the long term. But even if you disagree with that, there was a way to do this that wasn't such a humiliating fiasco. And obviously, surrendering Bagram and pulling out military assets before we had gotten every American citizen out of the country will go down as one of the worst foreign policy mistakes in the history of United States foreign policy. And so this president, to add insult to injury, has been lying to the American people for 2 weeks. He said al-Qaeda has been decimated in Afghanistan. Not true. He said our allies didn't have concerns with the way in which this has been conducted. Not true. He said Americans weren't having trouble getting to the airport. Well, obviously, we just left hundreds, if not thousands of them behind. So that was a massive lie. The foundation of our foreign policy has always been peace through strength. Well, the Biden doctrine is to sow chaos through weakness, and weakness invites aggression. And I fear we've only begun to see the aggression from our adversaries internationally because of this absolute disaster.
Well, Congressman, you mentioned Bagram Air Base, and that was General Milley who said we could take that down and, do the withdrawal without having anything bad happen, or at least not having our soldiers killed. That did not happen. Our own Jennifer Griffin asked General Milley what we'll be facing in terrorism now that we've withdrawn from Afghanistan and now that the Taliban is in total control. Here's what he said.
I don't know if the Taliban is going to be able to consolidate power and establish governance. They may be, maybe not. But I think there's at least a very good probability of a broader civil war. And that will then in turn lead to conditions that could, in fact, lead to a reconstitution of al-Qaeda or a growth of ISIS or other myriad of terrorist groups.
So, Congressman, if he thought that terrorism was going to increase after we got out of Afghanistan and lost that base, why did he, advise the president that it was okay to move forward with this decision in this manner?
Well, I hope that he mentioned that during the debates over withdrawal, because if he didn't, that is unbelievable. And here's the reality. The Biden administration did force the military to draw down to 600 troops, and then they had to secure the embassy and Kabul airfield, but they didn't even secure the embassy. And that's the moment at which you got to throw your rank on the table and say, if you go forward, Mr. President, I believe this is a lawful order, but I am resigning. And thus far, only a Marine Corps lieutenant colonel has had the temerity to resign in the face of a disagreement with the commander-in-chief. So there needs to be a thorough investigation into the way in which this absolute blunder occurred. And I fear we need people to be held accountable on our side, whether it's the military and the highest levels of the State Department, the National Security Council, not only for the disaster of the withdrawal, but also just for the deception with which it was carried out. And I do believe, Rachel, fundamentally, this administration believes that this is a news cycle they can manage and get away with this, that as long as they have friendly allies in the media, they can get away with this. But this is a matter of life and death. It's not a matter of tweets.
I agree, but what can Congress do? Because I really do believe that the American people think they are getting away with it. They're not even apologizing.
A few things. One, I had a bill on the floor last week that would have prevented us from recognizing the Taliban as a legitimate government and critically prevented any money from being sent to the Taliban so that we don't end up bribing the Taliban in order to get the American citizens that we left there back. That should be a minimum foundation going forward. We also need a full accounting of all the weapons we abandoned that are now in the hands of the Taliban. And we also need a plan from this administration for rescuing our people. And we do not have one right now.
Thank you, Congressman Gallagher. We'll be coming back to you later with some more information. All right. Now, staying in